Okay, folks. Hello. I wanted to share my progress on this blaster. We've come a long way. For those that aren't on the replica prop forum, you can see some of my progress on there from scratch. This is all kind of from scratch. But I went a weird route compared to the TV show. Since this is from The Mandalorian, I think also the book of Boba Fett, they use this blaster a bunch. The design caught me. It made me go, oh, that's interesting. And I kind of like it. There aren't enough greeblies on it for me, but, you know, for what it is, it was a pretty cool design. So the design, everything here. This is a U.S. Navy flare gun. There's a spring-loaded mechanism in here. There's the Sedgley stamp. There used to be a little grip detail here. You can see remnants of it right there. This spring-loaded part, you would break this open, insert your flare, you know, and fire it off. But again, that's this. I did drill a hole and chamfer it. That's part of the prop. I'm sorry to all the historians out there, but there's some paint dribbles there. Sometimes rattle cans just explode on you. Anyways, I'm about 3/4 of the way through this project, and it's been weird. They didn't actually use the flare gun for the prop. I think this is the case with a lot of Star Wars shows nowadays. This was either CNC'd or 3D printed, probably. And I did talk to somebody, and they did say that a whole bunch of features, like dimensions, sizes, were altered to make the print easier, to make fitting the parts easier, and stuff like that, or just for aesthetics. So, unfortunately, when I went to build this, I was like, oh, I've got the flare gun. I can go make the parts. So I start to measure things, and they don't line up with the actual flare gun. So, for example, these barrels and stuff are a little thicker, for multiple reasons. But one is that I couldn't find stock material of the right ratio. And when I did find stuff that was really close, like aluminum, for example, requires a decent amount of material to be removed. This has three, what do you call them? This has 3 diameters. This is removing at least, 3/8 of material. And thank God this is a separate piece, because my lathe is just is not big enough. You know what I mean? So machining wise, this was going to be a big task. So I did find acetal or Delrin, which is a lot easier to machine. And it's slick enough that it really looks the part. And it's dense enough to be tough, which is absolutely wonderful. So this is aluminum, and I have aluminum fronts on here with steel rods that do run. This rod goes here. I think this one goes maybe that far. I have some threaded inserts in here as well. But yeah, a lot of the engineering stuff is done. This is a cast metal mount that I designed from what I could gather from the prop screenshots and the photos that we have. This is still curing, I think, a little bit of that. But this, I did a wooden master, and then I cast it in old telephone solder. Little bit of model making tricks to make that work. And there is a bolt running straight through from this tube all the way down, tapped into the gun as well for structural support. This is a camera thumb nut from my custom lightsaber projects. And this is machined as well. I did took some creative license up here, because I did thread that for another steel rod. But I was like, oh, this is the eyepiece. Let's make that look kind of pretty. So I'm kind of of proud of that. But again, structurally, this is mostly there. This still works. I did lose the firing pin. It's here somewhere. So it usually clicks when you do that. However, yeah, we've made quite a lot of headway. There is JB Weld and E6000 and super glue all over this thing for all the gaps and stuff like that. But structurally, this is pretty solid. This barrel nut, it took me a long time to make this, but it is tension fit into the barrel with a shim and JB Weld as well. The tension clamp is actually glued together as well as being bolted together. And again, a lot of this is my interpretation because the original is not the same size. It's not the same shape necessarily in every area. Even the LED. This is a flashing LED. It's not wired to anything, but it's crooked too, isn't it? That's cool. Yeah, it is kind of crooked. But this is actually kind of model puttied in there just because the hole, there was nothing I could machine that would really sit in a diagonal hole that was quite shallow because the steel rod runs to about here, and there's a bolt head right beneath this that runs down. So I was like, you know what, let me use steel putty and get that secured in there. It's just decal anyways, I mean, so. And yeah, just like I was hoping, these are cut from the same rod, so they're both the same angle. I did have to cap it. Of course, the original is capped as well, but I used some aluminum plate and it just slid right off. The glue did not stick. I don't know if it's because acetal is so slick or what, but I ended up putting 0.80 screws in there. But yeah, this is actually part of the casting too, the metal cast. I don't know what I did on the wooden master. I think I put some aluminum on it and carved it. But yeah, this is really looking like how I was hoping for using the original thing. This is dark gray primer that's been scuffed with one of those maroon metal scrubby pads. And it was quite dark. It was closer to this color before you scrub it. So I do love that trick. And this is just some satin black that I was using for lightsabers. And this really gives that two-toned look. The next step are grips. I do have some styrene templates here. They're quite thick. So I might actually use these, or I might cut it out of wood or something. But I think these are too thick, especially because the original is curved. It looks like the prop itself, the flat area runs to about here, not here. So when you lay something on it, there's a decent overhang. So what do? Do I curve this with a heat gun to curve it to the thing? Do I fill this in with putty? I don't know. I really don't know. And these grips have details in them. There's a big circular thing right here, a metal kind of insert, and then there's a bolt right there. I can just tap that into the gun. That's easy to do. But like, again, that's my next step. What do I do? I think these are too wide. I might have to trim them down, but I did notice that the curve sits right there. So I don't know. But I've made a lot of headway, and it's a lot to type, so I thought a video would do it justice. Pretty darn cool. It's heavy too. The flare gun's heavy in and of itself, and this is just acetal and some steel and aluminum, so it's not a ton of extra weight. Can't break this open anymore because it's attached here, and here, which is fine. Which is fine, but I do really want this to look like a beat-up, used blaster. It certainly does. This is the original thing that holds the trigger assembly in, and it's seen some better days. I like it. What do you think, folks? Any ideas for what to do next? Let me know. Let me know. It's pretty cool. It's a fun project.